Obnoxious. All right, we'll get started here in a few minutes. Give it some time for people to join in and for it to be live on Facebook. Let's check and see how we're doing. Live. I'm going to cheat and use my phone over here. And zoom up too. And my wonderful husband is helping me so that I can figure out what is happening. There we are. Okay, excellent. Live. And so what we're going to talk about tonight is being healthy for the holidays. So once it turns 8 o'clock, we'll get started. I just had to fix some of our technical things because sometimes it doesn't always want to work. So if you're deciding that you want to bake along, go ahead and preheat your oven for 350 and then we'll get started. And here's some of the things that you're going to need. So we've got some almond flour. We've got allulose, but you can use swerve, you can use monk fruit, you can use whatever non-caloric sweetener that you want, you can use. I've got some here in case you difference. I've got some vanilla, some almond extracts, butter. Everything's better with butter. Some chopped zero baking chips. I also have, for those of you that don't have chopped zero, sorry about that weird light there, I'm getting a reflection. I've got some Tart dark chocolate. Pardon me. Okay, so over here we've got some special dark. Show you hold on for a second. We're coming back. All right, welcome. If you're just joining us, welcome. So let me tell you what we're gonna do tonight. I'll wait for some people to join us here. Talk to you about why I am doing this series. So I am part of something called Do the Thing. And the Do the Thing community, which I will shout out and let you know that you should join that as well, really helps to motivate us and it helps to just add admit people. It really helps connect people because it's through all those connections that we really build our businesses, build our connections, build our friendships, and all the things that are important to us. So in the Do the Thing, everything is done by a dare. So Stacy, who runs it, dares us to do different things. And one of the dares was to go live and find our people. Now, who are our people? They're people that have similar goals to us. So one of my goals is to be the healthiest that I possibly can be for as long as I live. To be the best grandmother, the most active grandmother that there ever was. That's my goal. And to do that, I've really had to reshape the way I look at things. So when I was in perimenopause, I started by really trying to eat healthier. And for me at the time, it was really about getting more vegetables in and things like that. But over time, I've had to adjust. I've had some health issues, which has led me to be more about the keto carnivore style eating, but I still need my treats. I spent 20 years baking professionally, and I have to have those yummy treats every once in a while. But I don't want the sugar because I don't want my insulin level to go up and down. So in my private group in September, I dared everybody, or I challenged everybody to give up sugar. So in doing so, I also gave up sugar. And then in October, we worked on some other things in November and so forth. And so this week, we are working on really sitting down and eating our food slowly and enjoying that at the table. Now, I will be the first one to tell you that I eat on the run all the time. So this is a constant challenge for me. But I also really want to be more mindful of what I'm eating. And I love to bake. I've had to find ways to be creative and really get the stuff I love in while maintaining my goals of being healthy. So tonight we're going to start with a keto Frangipani tart. If you don't know what a Frangipani tart is, it's basically an almond tart that comes from France. And so what I did was I swapped out the sugar for allulose. It doesn't have a lot of sugar to begin with, because contrary to popular belief, the French don't really like everything super, super sweet. So let's go ahead and start with that, because that's going to take a few minutes to bake in the oven. So we're going to go ahead and start with that French tart. We're going to start with 2 cups of almond flour. Okay, so I'm going to get that 2 cups of almond flour in there. And this is something I'm just going to do by hand. So we don't need anything fancy. And then we're going to 1 teaspoon of baking powder. And I have ginormo baking powder. Probably don't need one that large. So we need 1 teaspoon of baking powder. Go ahead and put that in there. And we need 3 tablespoons. And don't worry, if you want to make these, I will post the recipes. I've already posted them, but I will post them again in a printable form. 3 tablespoons of melted butter, which I previously melted and cooled. We'll need 1 egg. I always like to crack it in a separate bowl, because you never know if you're going to get shells. So even though I've been baking for years, it's important to be careful. We're going to use 1 teaspoon, half teaspoon of almond extract. We want to bump up the almond flavor without adding a lot of extra calories. And then just a tablespoon of sweetener. And I really like allulose. New person, just sit in there. Go. And I really like allulose. Allulose is a sweetener that does not increase your insulin level at all. It keeps you nice and level. Hey, Kristen. And so I really like to work with it. Alternatively, like I said, you could use monk fruit, or you could use stevia or swerve. But I like allulose because for me, it doesn't cause any kind of reaction. When I use too much monk fruit, or if I use a lot of stevia, sometimes my tongue gets the prickles. If you've ever had burnt your tongue, you'll know what I'm talking about. So I'm going to go ahead and add, you could do 1 to 2 tablespoons. I'm going to stick with about kind of a generous tablespoon in there. And I'm going to get set with. So right now I have got 2 cups of almond flour. I've got a 1 egg, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1 generous tablespoon of allulose as our sweetener, and a half teaspoon of almond extract. And we're just going to mix that up. So it just makes a nice soft dough. And I'll probably switch to a glove in a second, because it's much more efficient if you use your hands. We're just going to switch to a glove real quick. And, you know, when I normally do this for myself, I don't actually use gloves. I just use my nice clean hands. But because I want to do this efficiently, this is a better way to go. So just like that, we have, and it makes like a pasty dough. We have our dough. I'm using a tart pan, but if you don't have one, you could just use a pie pan. It's just fine. The nice thing about the tart pan is it has a removable bottom. So it looks a little fancier when you're done. You have a nice clean line on the outside. All right, I'm going to put my other glove on here. And you don't even have to roll this out. You can just press it in. That's the cool part. So all of this, it's got good protein. It's got high ants. It's got low sugar. Actually has no sugar. And it's delicious. Okay, so what I do is I take a little bit of my hand and I roll it like a little log. And then I'm just going to press it into the side of the tart pan. And then remove the excess. We'll just go around and do the whole thing like that. Press it in. Remove the excess. Press it in. Excess. Drew's here helping me. So if you can just tell me, Drew, can you see this okay? And ladies, please feel free to unmute yourselves, talk to me, ask questions. You know, I'm here to help you and discuss what kinds of things you love to have at the holidays that maybe you think you can't have anymore to meet your goals. Because I'm going to show you after we're done with this tart, while it's baking, we're going to make the filling for it. We're also going to make some really super easy, no-bake chocolate truffles. And it almost tastes like a really thick chocolate frosting. I love that. And they also don't have any sugar and they take just a minute to make. Okay, so now that I've got the whole outside done, right? Now I'm going to press the rest of the dough on the inside. And I start with little sections of it. And I just press and press, go across, press around. And you don't have to be perfect with it. It's not a big deal because it's going to spread anyway. So you just press it around until you've covered all the area. And it's going to look like you don't have enough, but I promise you do. You just keep pressing. When I used to own the bakery, I ate a ton of sugar, just tons. I look back and between the sugar and the Diet Coke, I just absolutely cringe at my health level. And I wonder how it is I actually survived. Pardon me? Okay. Oh, okay. Chris, is your volume on? Are you unmuted? Pardon? I don't know, maybe, can you come check it? Let me make sure that everybody is able to talk. Hold on one sec. Let's see here. I am the worst at sometimes. I don't know why. I just can't seem to. Everybody's unmuted. I don't know why I can't hear. Hold on. See if I can turn up my volume, maybe. Can I mute myself? Can you hear me? Drew, can you hear me? Pardon me? Ask to unmute. I don't know why it says that. Lord, I don't know. Maybe you can type it in the chat and just let me know because I for some reason I can't hear. I don't know why. All right. Not really sure, loves. I'm sorry.
I've got myself on mute because the dog's barking off and on.
There we go. Now I can hear you. Yay.
But I can hear you fine.
Perfect. Thank you. I don't know why. Sometimes it just doesn't like me. Chris, can you hear me okay? No, why? Pardon me? Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right. So here we go. I have it all pressed in. We're going to pop this in the oven just until it gets a little bit brown. Now, if you look at the instructions, it says to refrigerate it for 30 minutes. If you get a chance to do that, it comes out even better. But we're just going to cruise along like we don't need to do that. Drew, would you pop over here and get rid of this little message button? I don't know what that is. I've recruited Drew to help me because I am so challenged. Technical challenges are just not my thing. And somehow I got this box up there that I can't figure out how to turn it off. Originally, I had this set up for my phone, so I know how to do that, but it wasn't working to connect it to Facebook. So I abandoned that plan and went with plan B at the very last minute. We're going to make the filling for that tart, okay? I'm going to show you what the tart looks like when it's done. Like you can imagine. Just so you fire to see it until you try it. This is what it looks like. So it's topped with berries. It's got a nice spongy filling and it's got that nice almond crust. Now I will be honest, I baked the crust a little bit too dark. My liking, so this time I'm going to not make it as long. All right, so let's take a look at this filling. Now we know that the crust has no sugar, right? It's got no flour, so it's gluten-free. It's got the protein from the egg, and it's delicious. So it's perfect. So let's take a look at the filling. The filling has butter, again, the allulose, more almond flour, a little bit of coconut flour, a little sea salt and eggs, and more almond extract. So the filling has a nice almondy flavor too, but it's a little more spongy, almost things like custardy kind of. Okay, so let's get started with that. We need 4 tablespoons of butter, and I'm going to use my favorite Caribou butter. Pop that in there. Need a little bit more of that. So let me see. I had everything laid out in a typical fashion for mise en place to get everything ready. And then I had to move everything around because my setup wasn't working. So we just need Sorry about the noise. Sometimes it just happens. All right, so we need a half a cup of our sweetener. So much more sweetener in this part of it. We find a measuring cup. Measuring cups that I like. All right, so can I get that off? And this one, you just put all of it into the food processor, so it makes it super fast. All right, half a cup of sweetener. And then we need our 1 cup plus 2 tablespoons of almond flour. So we're gonna make our lives easy and use a 2-cup measure. This is a 1.5 cup measure. I lied. Measure. So we're gonna go ahead and use our, I don't know why I was there, am I? Because it is 1. Sorry, lovelies. I'm losing my mind. All right. So 1/2 cup. Now I'm going to type out all the recipes, so don't get nervous that my measurements are wrong. And then we need just a touch more of that. There we go. And now we're going to get some coconut flour. If you don't have coconut flour, do not go out and buy any. Just use a little bit of extra almond flour. It's not a big deal. It's just to give it a little bit of variety. No problemos. Okay. A little pinch of salt. We need 2 eggs. One of the biggest problems people have in sticking to any kind of a nutrition protocol is they feel deprived. Now, the benefit of giving up sugar is that you no longer crave sugar, but occasionally you still want to have a treat, especially if you're going to a party where you can be around a lot of people that are eating treats. And it's good to bring one that you know that you can have being guilt-free, right? Because that is just the best. Put these 2 eggs in here. Then I'm going to add some almond extract. Almond extract, actually 2 teaspoons. So it gets actually quite a bit of almond extract. Gives a lot of flavor. If you're not a super almond flavor person, you can go ahead and use vanilla. The great things about these is they don't have a lot of calories. They don't have any sugar. So it's really, and you want to make sure that you're getting a sugar-free extract, a real extract, not the flavorings. All right, so put our lid on here. I'll give it a good zhuzh. This might get loud for a second, but it's really quick. 45 seconds quick. It's really helpful if you plug it in. Yes, that really helps. Okay. That's all we need. Beautiful thing. All right. So set that aside to wait for our crust. Move this out of the way. And while we wait for our crust to be done, we're going to make these truffles. A few more minutes. Okay, so let's make our truffles. Move this aside. Give this a wipe down real quick. One thing about doing it live is that you have to put up with all my cleaning. Can't edit it all out, but it is important, so that we're going to do it. Okie dokie. All right, so we're going to need a half a block of cream cheese. So 4 ounces of cream cheese. Just going to cut that baby in half. Now, I've had this at room temperature, but if you're making this at home, you're going to want to heat it for 30 seconds in the microwave. It just makes your life a little easier. All right, so put that aside. And I need to cheat. We need 4 ounces of cream cheese. We need half a cup of Hershey Special Dark. Now, this doesn't contain any sugar, but I love it because it's got a nice, rich, dark flavor. So you're getting a lot of chocolatey flavor with no added sugar. All right, let me get a different measuring cup. I am need a measuring cup set, so I have a lot of them. All right, so we're just gonna have, now the thing about cocoa is it will go everywhere. So make sure that you are very gentle with it. All right, so let's see here. It's not wanting to come out all the way. Just gonna come over here. And when this happens, don't panic. Just use a knife or use a spoon just to dig it out. Sometimes it gets a little clumpy. That is completely normal. All right. Now, you could take the time to run it through a sieve and all that, but I'm not going to do that because I'm going to use a hand mixer. Normally, I would use a food processor, but because the food processor is otherwise being used, I will not. Now, we need 1/3 cup of sweetener. Again, I'm going back to our allulose because that is my favorite sweetener. But if you like it a little bit sweeter, you can go ahead and use monk fruit. It does have a sweeter profile, but I am not a fan of that tingly aftertaste. So, or you can combine the two. You can do half and half. Okay, so we need 1/3 allulose. And we're going to add 2 tablespoons of heavy cream. The heavy cream gives it a nice richness and a little additional sweetness. So I like to add that in there. 2 tablespoons. And then we're going to add a little bit of vanilla extract on this one. Now I know I'm going quickly because I don't want to keep you here all night, but you'll have the replay to look at. You'll have the recipes and you have me if you have any questions. What I'm really trying to do is inspire you to think out of the box and get some good healthy alternatives for the holidays. And I promise, if you bring these somewhere, nobody will even know they're not full of sugary. All right, let me grab this hand beater. Going old school on this one. There it goes. All right, let's see here. This goes here. One thing about this beater, it's hard to get the little things in. Sometimes it doesn't want to come in there. There we go. All right, so start by beating it up. This only takes a minute or two, and then it becomes nice and fudgy. I just saw that on Facebook. It looks like I'm going 100 miles an hour. I don't know why. So if it was dry and crumbly in the beginning, you're doing it right. And you just keep going. If you need to add a little more heavy whipping cream, you can. One thing I want to remind you is that we need fat for our brain. So all this bananas about fat-free everything, do not listen to that. That is not correct. That is old news, and that's what got us in a lot of trouble with bad eating habits. All right, we're almost there. It starts to look like crumbly brownies, and then all of a sudden it becomes a nice, smooth consistency. Perfect. Okay, so once you get to this point, where it almost looks like brownie batter, then you just take our little scooper, just like that. I'm going to move all this stuff out of the way, and I'm going to get a pan. We're going to line it with some. Going to line it with oil. And then it's just a matter of scooping them out. This little scoop makes life a lot easier, but if you don't have one, you just stick your little fingers in there and make it like meatballs. And we're just gonna tray them up just like this. And then if you need to taste test for quality control, you go like this. And you make sure it's okay. And I approve. Now you could add nuts to this. You could add unsweetened coconut. Once they're all refrigerated for a while, then you can dip them in chocolate. Again, you want to use a no sugar chocolate. I really like this chocolate zero. I really like that because it has a good melting point. You might need to add a little bit of butter to it to get to melt smoothly, but once you dip it, it hardens up beautifully, just like regular chocolate does. If you are not a fan, you could also use like a 70% or 80% cocoa. So like a guitar or any kind of good chocolate. All right, got your balls. You refrigerate them. Once they're refrigerated, I'm going to finish all of this with y'all, but once they're refrigerated, they will look like this. Right? Got it. And then you can go ahead and round them up a little further because once they're cold, go ahead and make them nice and pretty. When they're warmer, It's a little harder to do that. So just getting them in the general shape of it is the way to go. And then you can make them look as pretty as you want to. All right, let me put some of this back. We're gonna continue. Let me know in the chat or out loud if you have questions, and we'll go over it. But I want to encourage you to try this. I want you, these ones are wonderful. And although I'm not going to demonstrate, just because it's so easy, these cheesecakes that I make them every week so that at least once a week we get something, a sweet treat. So all it is a block of cream cheese and a 1/4 cup of allulose and vanilla, a teaspoon of vanilla, and 1 egg. And you blend it up in the food processor, and then you can stir in whatever you like. I like to do it with chocolate chips. Chocolate chips. Sometimes I do lemon blueberry, sometimes I do raspberry, but I like to mix it up. And this is what they look like. So once I put them in a silicone mold. They don't have any base to them, but nice firm cheesecake that just makes it feel a little bit decadent. You could hit it with some unsweetened whipped cream, and it just makes it feel like you have dessert with no guilt. All right, let's pop that in there. You'll notice that I don't cover it when I put it in there because until it's firm, you don't want to cover it or you end up with plastic wrap all in your food. All right, we're going to take that tart shell out here in a second. And then we're going to fill it with the topping, and then we're going to put some berries on it and put it back in the oven. All right. So here is our tart shell. You'll see it's gotten brown on the edges. Put my cow towel down. It's gotten brown on the edges and it's lighter in the center. That's exactly what we're looking for. All right, so we're going to take our mixture that we made, our Frangipani mixture. Pick up that blade, maybe. Now, it is much easier when you first make it, put it in your tart shell, but it can be done. We're just going to scoop it in little sections, and then I'll take a knife and I'll spread it out. And the heat from the tart will help to spread it. You could let this cool completely before filling it. You could put it in a pastry bag and go ahead and swirl it around pretty. At the end of the day, it's really not going to matter much because it spreads on its own. And it's going to be a soft set once it's done. So it's not going to look like it's completely set in the center, but that is actually what you want. Like I said, it should be a bit custardy. And then we're going to put some berries on there, put it back in the oven, and I'll cut a piece of this tart so you can see what the inside looks like. And I want to tell you, it is delicious. It's not overly sweet. You're not really going to miss that sweetness. You're really going to be amazed at how really great it is without all that sugar. Okay, let's get I like to use a butter knife for the back of the spoon. Really, an offset spatula is the way to go, but since I don't have one close by, we're going to use the back of a spoon, and you're just going to spread it fairly evenly over the top. The thing is, you can worry about having it perfect, but if you just get it done, that's the way to go. I've learned that to do it messy is to get it done and to let go of perfectionism. And the more that I keep my meals simple, the better that I do. All right, so now it has hit every corner. We're good, and it will automatically spread by itself. Now I'm going to add some berries. And I'm going to steal from my husband's lunch. He's looking at me like, what? Don't worry, I won't take too many. All right, so we're going to put some raspberries and just plunk them in there. Now, on the other one, I use some frozen berries. This one, I'm going to do half raspberries and half a couple blackberries and a couple blueberries. So you can mix it up. Whatever you got, you can use. Even the original recipe calls for just raspberries. Now, what do you do if you just don't like berries? Well, you just leave them off. Not a problem. At this point, you could sprinkle a little bit more sweetener on top, but I don't really need that. So I'm just going to leave it as is. I'm going to put it back in the oven for about 30 minutes or so. The original recipe calls for 45 minutes. Depends on your oven. My oven is rather quick, so I usually check it before that. And I always advise you to do that. Don't go just by the recipe. Go by the smell of it, go by the look of it. If you're spending all that time putting good ingredients in it, you want it to be great. All right, let us cut this. Please let me know if you have any questions. I know this is fast. Pardon? Yeah, isn't it fun? I love this shirt. Okay. So I'm going to cut it. And I'm going to sacrifice myself and try it for you and explain to you how delicious it is. Okay, so I don't know if you can see that real well, but it's got a nice little fluted crust. It's got this nice kind of almost a moist cakey texture that has that nice almond flavor, and then the berries on top. Ready? I really like it. And I'm going to give Drew some. Now that I totally ate with my mouth full, I hope you're inspired to make these. If you try to make them and you get in any trouble, you just call me. You can message me. You can call me. Most of you all know me. I'm just available if you want to. If you live locally, you can come on over. I'll make with you. Let me know. Do you have questions? Do you have questions about using sugar substitute versus the real stuff, or making gluten-free instead of using regular flour? Because you can swap it all out. So this is a series. So today I just focused on desserts, but we're going to get into some other things too. We're going to get into maybe sous vide cooking. You can give me an idea of what you want to see, how I can help you, because that is my goal. Everybody knows I love to cook and bake, but if it's not really serving you, I want to make sure that I'm hitting what's going to help you. Because I really feel like we're totally gone the wrong direction as a civilization, actually, in the way we eat. We really need to get back to our roots and not have all this processed stuff and all the sugar and all the other stuff. We really just need to keep it basics, back to eating local foods and seasoned foods and things that our body recognizes, and really hydrate properly. So I just wanted to share my love of baking with you. And I hope, like I said, that you will try it. Drew, can you read the chat? I think there was a chat and I just can't catch it because I don't have my eyeballs on. And honey, thank you for commenting. Kristen, thank you for commenting. I know you're exhausted and I really appreciate you being here. And I really hope that I've inspired you to try some different things. I will pop the recipes to all of you and then we can all get healthier together. All right, my lovies. Mwah. Thank you for joining me. I have a lot of tarts to eat. All right, we'll talk soon. Bye.